Well, because that happened with Landon as like a side story. When we first got into this place and moved the podcast here, we didn't have these mics. We were still kind of talking through. I feel like we'd call them shitty mics now comparatively. But we had him on for like the first show in this little spot,
and he was fired up too.
He was fired up, and it was a good one. It was interesting. It was interesting hearing his story and everything like that. And then got posted, and I was like, "Oh shit, dude, you can't hear him like at all." It was like a whisper,
like straight whisper. Yeah. I was like, "Oh, dude, it's all just us having a conversation. He's sitting over there,
and there's just some ghost just background."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, we're here. It's the All or Nothing Show. We're back. Brock, of course, and then we got a special guest, Anthony, and he's joining us. Going to hopefully talk about his brand, his story, how he got into it, and anything else that's going on, because that's what we do on the show. We just shoot the shit.
He's another guy. I forgot who we had on at some point that I was thinking about this too. That your name's Anthony. I assume obviously you go by Anthony, and
sometimes yes, people. It's either Anthony or AJ. It's one of those things. Like if somebody calls me Anthony. I'm screwed at some point. Like, I'm in trouble.
Shit.
But I almost
that's the mom coming out.
Yeah, that's
Anthony?
what that is.
Yeah, but I think because we haven't communicated a ton or been close enough, I almost think like username first. I'm like, oh, A James.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I've said that. I've said that too.
Yeah,
that's happened more times than you think too.
Like,
sometimes I look confused because I am the person that forgets his Instagram name.
I know.
Like, huh?
Yeah. Or and there are multiple Y's. So if someone's like asks like, oh, what's your username? You almost gotta like, be like, okay, it's like 2 Y's or something like that.
Then if you break it down, you're like, so is it 2? Is it 3? It's like, why did I even start to do this in the first place?
I've always had it as just Brock Covington. I feel like I did that when I got on Instagram.
But that's
12,
a good move.
And it was a good move.
You can find you easy.
And Maddie changed hers for a little while, like Maddie Dix Fit. And I was like, no, like just keep it Maddie Dix. Yeah. Because it's so easy and simple.
I tried to do mine because I was like, oh, man, I just want to do my simple name so people can find me.
Someone has it.
Yeah, somebody already has it. So I'd have to do underscores and shit. And I'm like, fuck
and it's
that.
usually someone that doesn't even post. It's like
it's like a ghost. Yeah, zero followers.
I actually had one guy. There's light-skinned actor that used to be an actor. He did some stuff with Nickelodeon or something at some point. Then now he's a realtor. He's kind of like one of those. I feel like
hell of a transition.
Yeah, low level.
What?
I feel like he's like one of those low level actors that kind of tries to get these roles, but eventually had to just be like, hey, this isn't working out.
Yeah.
Anyway, same name as me. And I remember he DM'd me. I was like 12 or 13. He's like, hey, man, can you change your username so I can have Brock Covington? And I was like, nope.
People actually do that. Like, people find the name that you have, like the name that they want, and they'll buy your Instagram name. And I'm like, yo, when was it ever that serious?
You know what names crush though on Instagram? Or the just Nick or Paul.
Oh, they got that first real estate 2010 when Instagram came out.
Yeah, that's kind of the equivalent of when the .com boom and you're getting a certain domain.
Yeah. Damn, imagine knowing even for example TikTok popping off before it started blowing up.
TikTok.
You're going over there and grabbing just celebrities' names so they have to reach out to him either.
People do that. I forgot his name. I meant to do it a long time ago, but he would purposely buy certain internet domains, ones that he knows eventually somebody's going to want.
Yeah. And
then they contact him, he sells them, and I'm like, where were you at where this idea came to be?
Yeah.
Not a bad one, but I'm like, yo, what? This doesn't even anything.
I don't know. I guess you just have to have that gut feeling that it's going to take off,
Yeah.
Or at least try. I mean, it doesn't cost anything. Well, domain names do, but TikTok, all that shit, no.
Yeah.
So you could just eat those up.
For me, it's not much I can do. Anthony James is the equivalent of John Smith.
It is a double first name.
It's a very basic one and 2 first names.
You have a middle name?
Yeah, middle name.
Is it another first name?
No, it's way out the park. It's Levante, and it's just where did this come from?
Yeah.
I asked my parents that. I'm like, so where were you at when you were like, that's what the middle name's gonna be?
Yeah, it's okay. Mine's weird too. It's O'Brien, but Brien, and it's
Scottish.
So it's my dad's. It's my dad's middle name, and he got it just because his mom, when she gave birth to her, she just took the doctor's last name and uses the middle name. I think that's the story. It's kind of weird.
What?
Yeah.
So is the doctor the dad?
No. No.
Low key,
it's
not.
Let
me take his last name.
Yeah. Why?
So
no reason.
I'm of age now, so I've got questions for both.
Yeah.
He does that thing where you ask your parents a question about way back in the day, and they just laugh and walk away. But no, we're not done.
Yeah.
I'm 30. You're gonna answer this question.
A fun fact, or not fun fact. It's a weird fact, I guess. Is I don't have a middle name legally. Yeah.
So a lot of people don't.
Yeah. So, but growing up, they always said Austin Lucas Page, like my family and whatever. But then I get my mom, like when I turned 18,
they do that?
She gave me my birth certificate and it just says Austin Page on it. Like, what the fuck?
I have so many questions.
Yeah. I guess they got lazy. All my other siblings have middle names except me.
I feel like it's nice as like a backup thing. Like you have a first name you really hate or it's weird, like I don't know, I won't pick on someone's name. I was about to just say something and I thought of like a member we have and I was like, but like yeah,
20 minutes.
yeah, but like you have a generic name, and you're just like, I'll switch it up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, Anthony, AJ, what's happening, man?
Man, a lot.
Yeah. So
a lot.
I would love to sort of dive into since I already mentioned earlier, like your brand and how you sort of got into fitness first off. So if you could give us a quick recap of like maybe you getting into fitness and sort of how that transitioned into you wanting to start your own brand.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cut and dry. I was fresh out of college, which was nothing but drinking and partying and seeing if I can fit in a slice of pizza in this routine. And got home, got a place with 3 of my buddies from college, and it was just one of those things we were all trying to figure out what we wanted to do, what jobs we wanted to land.
Yep.
And nobody was still focusing on, having better health because now we're just older, so we can go out to bars in the city. We're no longer at Radford anymore, things like that. And it was like, I think around Christmas, I just looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, dude, what is up? What is going on? Like my major is in sports administration, and I was just like, what?
Yeah.
So what made you choose that major?
So at first I wanted to be a sports director for college teams.
Oh.
And I realized that the athletic directors actually do not spend as much time with the athletes as I originally had thought.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times people, not to cut you off, a lot of times people go into sports science, whether it's exercise science, or they go into sports administrator, sports management, whatever, and because they're looking at degrees or majors, and they're like, okay, I like sports. I'd probably like this, and they go into it, and they're like, oh shit, this is sports analytics. This is like the business side of things. Yeah,
exactly.
Like I don't want that.
And the worst part is,
did you have any schools you were looking at, like potentially maybe working at?
No. It was just one of those things where you just get what they give you and try to get some experience
and then work your way up.
Gotcha. But the worst part about it is with high school, like you remember when you're in high school, this athletic director is always around, like helping out and things like that. That's high school. College, you might not even know who they are. And I was just
and there's probably so many sports to keep up with.
Yeah. So I was just like, I wasn't really into that. But then I started going to the gym because I was like, I'm not happy with the way I look. Just basically off my own, college boy gym knowledge is basically it.
Yeah.
And I was looking for a part-time job until I found the job that I wanted to land for college. And a guy directed me to Nutrition Corner.
Yeah.
I actually started working at Nutrition Corner. I worked there for like 2.5 years.
The Short Pump Nutrition Corner?
Yep. I was there for a good while.
It's funny, I feel like I never saw you there. What year did you start working there?
I was there between 2017 and 2019.
Huh. Because I remember when they opened, I went to like their opening day when they had Ronnie Coleman, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah.
And that had to be like 2016, 2017?
That was probably 2016.
Yeah. It was 2016.
Yeah. So I went then, and then I went here or there, like whenever I was like maybe close by, because that was like as I was getting more and more into like bodybuilding, and it's like the one place that actually has out-of-the-box online brands and things like that. But I didn't go maybe a shit ton to where I would see you. But anyway, I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, like the people that come like every other day, which for some reason I'm like, you don't remember, you don't make a list.
Come on.
I'm actually out of this. Let me go back tomorrow. But, I mean, it's fine, but I will. The one thing I'll say about Nutrition Corner is like it wasn't like a GNC type thing where it's just like do your best. Like we are required to know about
what's up,
supplements. And I don't have to know exactly what's in every particular product, but I do need to know the bare bones, like what separate what pre's from this, isolates from mass gain and proteins, things like that.
Yeah.
Like, so someone can come in and actually,
get educated,
get some knowledge.
Yeah.
And, from there, I still didn't know what I really wanted to do. I moved to Arlington after that, finally landed one of the jobs I wanted, still staying in good shape. And it was funny because, a lot of people I knew, they were staying in good shape, but they were doing the thing I used to do where it's like you go to the gym after work, you still eat whatever, so you're just basically staying complacent. And I was like, I didn't want any of that. So I was actually the guy that would like go to the gym like at 6 p.m., get home at 9, wake up and like, yo, I gotta go to work already. Like, I'll be the guy that like my boss used to make fun of me because he was like, why do you have 4 meals for a 30-minute lunch break. I'm like, oh, because you have no idea. I'm going to eat these all day. I'm going to be eating these all day.
There's more than just this one lunch
And she used
break.
to be like, how are you hungry? And I'm like, that's the fun part. I'm not. I'm not hungry. But this is what I have to do. And COVID hit. That was a thing for everybody. And it was one of those things where we were just asking, like, what's up with our jobs? Because me and a good handful of people on my team got furloughed. And after like 6 months, they finally cut anybody that was like a year or less.
Yeah.
And my 1 year was like a week away. So,
they dicked you like that, dude?
If you're by the book like they are, it's like, yeah. And she even tried, and they were just like, nah. So came back home, and it was just weird, man. It's just weird. I would never think at that age not having a job, and also there's so many other people without jobs. Mm-hmm. And then, people joke about it all the time, but the gym really is a de-stressor for a lot of people. And I came home and I saw so many of my friends that were like depressed because they couldn't let out, the things at the gym. And it's like, you can't take that away from us.
You don't realize what some things add to your life until they're gone. Like, just for us, we've been expanding more into endurance stuff, right? And you get used to it weeks after week. And maybe sometimes you think, oh, I'm kind of dreading this ride, this run, this workout, whatever. And then when you literally can't do it because of injury, blood clot, whatever, now you're like, fuck, dude, I miss it.
Dude,
like,
I
want the
wish
chance.
Not anything but doing that,
I just want the chance to do it.
I couldn't agree with you more during that COVID time. Obviously, we all felt it with no gyms shutting down and finding garages that you could work out in. But for the sake of everybody just wanting to, like, be sane and move their body, that was my busiest time and like my most money made personal training during that time. I was working at Gold's Gym.
You were hustling, driving all around.
Yeah, I was going to everybody's backyards. I bought a shit ton of Walmart stuff, and I was just crushing, like sun up to sundown. And that was crazy times, man, because everybody was looking for ways to get their body moving and just staying like, sane and in shape, obviously, because everybody was like worried. Back then, it was like a lot more serious about COVID. They were like, "Oh, fuck, this shit could wipe you out."
And that was when people were still making jokes too. They had no idea, and they was like, "Oh, not funny now."
Yeah, I know. And one thing that I kind of forget, because I feel like for both of us, we had already kind of transitioned to more freelance stuff, and fortunately, most of all my work basically is like online stuff. And if anything, because everything kind of switched to online, a lot of the real estate agents I work with, things like that, business was actually doing probably even better because everything was online. But point is, I kind of forget and haven't had as much experience talking to people that have lost their job and had time. Not that I had fun in the sun during like the pandemic and everything went perfect for me. We all struggle in different ways with certain things, but you forget that they're not just statistics you see on the screen or on Twitter, this or that, but like actual people have A, lost family members, B, lost their job, gone through depression, a lot of these things, and they're not all just fixed, a year later too.
Yeah, it was an awakening for sure.
It was, because I remember on our team we had 2 new people that had just started, and they had left their jobs to come there. And what they did is anybody that was still in training, because you got to be in training for 3 months, anybody that was in training immediately cut. So I was just like, wow. Like, it's one of those things like, I remember somebody always has it worse than you.
Yeah.
But, I came back, and first thing I remember when gyms finally did slowly start to open up, I was like, do I really need to get in shape that much? Because this was hurting. Like, it was like one of those things where you fall off the wagon, get back on, everything hurts. And I was like, I don't need to be in shape. I was like, I don't need this. But a couple months later, like, things are starting to get normal. Gyms are past that moment where they're like sign-in cheap for like 30 minutes. Things like that. And then you start to see, which one thing I'll say, like local-owned and small-owned businesses finally started to like show up.
Yeah.
And people were like trying their things, and whether it's like restaurants, because you'll notice like a lot of local-owned business got shut down.
Yeah.
But the thing of it is, a lot of us didn't even know those local-owned businesses existed.
Yeah.
Because they weren't like, people weren't really like specializing on them. It's just like, oh, hey, they're over there, and then you're like, what? They live beside me? Like, So I think that's the only silver lining in COVID, is that we pay attention now to helping our neighbor's business.
I agree with that.
Instead of helping the
that's definitely
multi-million, billion conglomerate
corporations.
Like that. So,
so I imagine you didn't go back to that job after, right?
No.
So what did you end up doing after that?
So I ended up finding another job here. find another job here, still trying to figure out what I wanted to do because I knew after COVID, to me personally, I felt like any job like that, you're nothing more than a number.
One safe.
So I was always going to get another job. I was also trying to figure out what I wanted to do, what I wanted to see myself doing. So one of my best friends from high school, TJ, he's actually my partner now in Covington. He came home, and because he was in LA, he got LA for his past job, and literally when he moved there, it was right when lockdown happened.
And they sent him back.
So you can't. I mean, it was his own personal decision because you can't make any friends, you can't find out anybody, but because you're locked down. So it's like one of those things. I work remote, come home, and we would work out here and there. And one day he was like, so he was just talking about supplements because he doesn't take pre-workout that often.
Yeah.
And he was like, didn't you used to work at a nutrition store? I was like, yeah, nutrition corner for a good while. And he's like, so say for instance, hypothetically, you wanted to make something like this, could you? I was like, yeah. And I was like, actually, it's one of those things where I'm trying to figure out, do I want to? Because I was like, it costs a lot, it takes a lot of time. And I was like, I just don't think I have the means to do it by myself. But I was like, that's my own confidence thing. And he was like, then why do it by yourself?
Yeah.
He's like, let's do it. And I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, let's do it. Not gonna lie, ghosted him for like 3 weeks because I was scared as shit. I was scared as shit. I was like, if I tell him yes, we are jumping off the cliff here.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's been my boy since like, the 7th grade. So he knew that was me being like, oh shit, I don't know. And then he called me one day. He was like, all right, I'll let you go for like 3 weeks. Are we doing this or not? And I was like, held my breath. And I was like, yep.
Good, dude.
I was like, yep. And I was like, I'm going to ghost you again. And he was like, wait, why? He was like, no, we just agreed. I was like, I need like a month of just solitude. I was like, obviously our first product is going to be a pre-workout. I need to sit down. I need to get it together. I need to figure out some things.
Yeah.
So after that, I came back to him with, the first version. We got with one of our manufacturers. I did not like it at all. I did not like it one bit. I think we went through, it was 4 test runs until we found Initium. And I think the final thing was the nootropic. That was the thing where I was like, this is it. And we tested it with about 40 people all throughout Richmond, a couple in Northern Virginia. And that's when I was like, this is where we have something. And a lot of times we'll get like, where'd you get the name from?
Yeah, I was about to ask. Yeah,
I saw it was
it's one of those things though. When you pick a name like that, you kind of already have in your mind. You have like a defense or thing in your mind. Yeah. It's kind of like when we first, Maddie and I, for short term, we kind of merged our online coaching businesses for reference, and we put it together. It was called Erovol, EROVOL, and so we were trying to think of a creative name. And arrow meant iron as like a root word or whatever, and then vol meant will. So it's like iron will. We're trying to think of something creative. And sometimes too creative is, and then we've talked about this with the next product, sometimes thinking too out of the box or too creative almost causes too much confusion and too many questions, and then you already feel like before you even tell someone the name, you have a defense ready. And it's tricky with that because there is a lot of and I'll let you answer the question because I know I asked you like what it meant. But anyway, point is it can be tricky with names.
For sure.
Oh, no, I feel you 100% on that. If you guys are familiar with Chris Waldron.
Yeah.
He actually taught me that too when we were thinking of names for our next products coming up. He was like, just remember, don't go too creative to where you come off as cheesy or pretentious. And we were like, wait, but he was like,
I mean, he's got Devastation of the Union. I think it's
and it's like when you read it on the back, it's like it makes sense. And he was like, we've come up with some names before, and then me and TJ were thinking, we were like, yeah, let's take out half these names on this sheet. I was like, if I have, and like you said, if I have to already have a defense ready for this name, maybe I shouldn't go with it.
We had the same problem like back in 2016 when we first made our big order as well, and we would like, it took probably at least 6 months to like figure out names for 3 products because every day we'd try and just like send each other texts of like, all right, here's 6 names right here that we heard in song lyrics or something that just like hit us or felt like you read it in a book or read it off something, you were like, damn, I felt that. But usually when you'd like actually put it and you thought about putting it on a label, you're like, oh, that doesn't fit at all.
Wait, but so Covenant Athletics, funny story, me and TJ were actually at Gold's at Willon. and we were getting ready to work out, and we were actually both on the toilet. We were both on the toilet.
Stall to stall.
And he was like, so what are we going to do about name? And I was like, oh, I got some ideas. He was like, you got your bag? I was like, yeah, it's right here. We doing this right here now? Right now, though? Yeah. He was like, yeah, I've got some ideas, too. I was like,
that's really shooting the shit.
Yeah. Legit. All right, we'll go with that. And I was naming a few, and we hadn't even got to athletics yet. I was just saying, like, certain words, and then I got to Covenant, and he was like, well, that rolls off the tongue well. He's like, why'd you choose that? And I was like, well, because if you look up what the actual definition of covenant is, it's a promise of importance to yourself. And it can have spiritual meaning or religious meaning, whatnot. And what's something people promise themselves every year, better health. Whether you stick to it or not, your resolution is a promise. And sometimes people take it very seriously, and you see where people have come in 365 days, and then some people do it, for a little amount of time. So we had stuck on covenant. And we could not figure out the last name. We didn't want to go with something like, labs or.
And you didn't want to do just Covenant, too vague, right?
Yeah, because then people were like, what's going on?
That's that,
and then if you use something like, labs or something like that, or you pigeonhole yourself just in the pre-work-out.
Yeah.
You can kind of cringy with the labs.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Well, and that's what I was going to say was athletics is interesting, right? Because you didn't choose Covington, or I was going to say Covington. Covenant.
I saw that. Got his brand coming on.
I was like, damn.
He's got his own brand.
At least
the branding. Like, well, surprise. Here it is.
I've got my brand. Nice.
But you didn't pick Covenant Nutrition or labs, like you said.
Supplements.
You did athletics, which definitely allows you to kind of expand things later. Just like, Ghost came out. And obviously they have like a whole like a lifestyle kind of thing too, so they aren't kind of boxed into one thing. I think that's a good term.
Because the reason why in athletics was more so TJ, which I like to tell people Covenant was me, athletics was him, because like you said, we can go all across the board. Like just because first product is pre-workout, they're not all going to be for the gym. Like we want to eventually in the next couple of years, break into like multivitamins, joint formula, especially with these knees, I need it. But we didn't want to pigeonhole ourselves, and the way we saw it is we wanted a product that everybody in the household will be able to get something. Like, you can get pre-workout, you can get a multivitamin, you can get a greens. Every person, including your grandparents, will be able to get at least 1 or 2 products from Covenant Athletics, by year 4 or 5. And that's what we wanted. So that's where the athletics came from. So, toilet talk, shooting shit, legit, and that's where it came from.
I'm more interested in the name of Initium.
So Initium is mostly TJ, but it's Latin, and it comes from like start of something great. Gotcha. So Covenant is a promise of importance to yourself, and Initium stands for start of something great. Gotcha. And that's where we get the phrase "fuel your beginning" comes from.
Yeah.
It comes from Initium, and that was actually all TJ, and that was one of the times where thinking outside the box worked. Like that won't be a cheesy one. But we did learn later on down the road that we can't take that route all the time. Because sometimes I was like, what is this name that I just came up with?
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure sometimes you probably get annoyed if people like mispronounce it.
It happens a lot, and it's
you
like
let it go, but it's like
I also have to think about how I say it too, because I don't want somebody to say like Anidium or something like that. I'd be like, oh, that's wrong. Like,
You don't want to correct them, but
like I normally go with, all right, that's number 36, and they'll be like, what's that? I'll be like, oh, wait, people say Initium wrong. Like just like something like docile, so they won't be like, oh, this guy's like a dick. Like this guy's a dick. But no, it's funny. I actually get more impressed with the person that says it right the first time. They're like, dude, Initium's great. I'm like, what'd you call it?
Well, it's interesting because the way it's spelled, you wouldn't guess it. It comes off like that. But
and then some people, I guess, they just try to say it so wrong that they say it right. Like, well, you did it. Like, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, speaking of like, you coming out with products years from now, you sort of have like at least a vision of where the brand's going to go. Do you all have like a target audience or an audience that you are trying to like make y'all's own and like a target of some point, or are y'all just trying to go for a broad lifestyle of grandma, young, old, middle-aged, stuff like that?
So the target for the most part is going to be like the person that's our age or a little bit younger that's trying to like get into health. And the reason for that is Initium's not a stem bomb.
Yeah.
It's not a cracked out pre-workout, so to speak. That could be later on down the road we make another version. Sure. There's plenty of companies that have, their basic bare bones one, and then they have like, the atomic bomb later. They got the whole clear.
Oh yeah.
And The reason I want that is because the nootropic in it, I want the people that are afraid of pre-workout to give it a try and be like, oh, this is something I can take. This is a pre that you can take when you're doing like cardio, if you're going on a run or you're doing Orange Theory. Like, for instance, one of our athletes, Oliver Smith, Orange Theory instructor, he's given it to a few of his clients. They're like, oh, we can take this. And then you can like slowly, gradually have your way into what else we have on the line, years from now. And it's basically for the person that's trying to get into it or that's already knowledgeable. And then when it comes to like multivitamins and things like that, that's just for the older group that needs it. We all need multivitamins, but it's very hard to get someone that's elderly into a brand anyway.
For sure.
And because they're not going to be taking these powders. They're not going to take anything that's powder, first of all. So you just want to have something that they can take. So right now, I'd say our audience is basically us.
Okay.
For right now, with what we have.
Yeah.
But the next couple products that will be coming out this year, I will say it is targeted to a more broad audience.
Yeah, I was about to ask. So I know you sneak peeked it, and I'm not asking for spoilers. But obviously the pre-workout came out how many months ago?
The our first day selling was the last day of July, so July 30th.
Something like maybe 6 months, give or take. But anyway, okay, and then do you have like an ideal release date, or at least maybe when you're announcing this next product?
Yes, it should be within the first few days of March.
Okay,
nice.
First few days
coming
of March.
right up.
I will say that it was supposed to be now,
yeah.
but we also know supply
Things
chain right now is a
happen,
nightmare.
Yeah.
You just at this point, and also I'm pretty sure you know this, better than me. Now you're looking towards that email that's going to tell you it's backed up.
Yeah.
We need like a couple more weeks.
I've been kicked in the dick so much the past year that like I just
the dick
assume
goes in actually.
Well, it actually goes in, inverted. And I just assume when I go to put that deposit down for a product, I'm not going to see it for a good 18 weeks, 16, 18 weeks probably.
Whatever they say, because it's good to have TJ in supply chain.
Yeah.
That's what his career is in, supply chain. He's like, whatever they say, if they're telling you 16 weeks, at least in your head, put 21.
Yeah.
He's like, at this point in time, the way our world is, put at least 4 to 5 weeks on anything. And I was like, really? And then Initium ended up being like 2 months behind. Like July was not supposed to be when we were supposed to launch. Like before everything really got to where it was supposed to be, we were supposed to drop like April at the latest. And like I'm over here freaking out and TJ's just laying back like, them's the breaks. So I'm like, wait, what? Like, why are you so calm about this? So
I get it. That's a lot of money just when you put a deposit down for a product, any product that is, you're putting 50% down minimum just to get the order queued. So that's just you're sitting on money
in the air
with nothing to show for
well,
it.
It's
for
tough,
months.
especially with retail. I mean, I even felt a little bit of that when we ordered the Arsenal machines because we paid for that in May, supposed to get them, which was already like a long time frame, in August or something like that, September. And then, 3 weeks in a row, I had to call the guy once a week, be like, hey, updated date. Eventually, he was like, hey, I had a meeting, whatever. It's going to be like mid-December. And
we don't know where the shit is.
Yeah. Who are you?
Brock,
So,
we're waiting for this call. To be very honest, man, we're about to kick you in the dick.
But I was like mid-December. But, and then when it comes in, or the product comes in, then you're excited.
Yeah,
you kind of forget about all the stress. But
I take back all
tough.
the shit talk I did for the past 7 months about you. Here it is.
Yeah. But that's really exciting. So this next product's not a pre-workout? Do you have plans to come out with a second flavor of Initium, or
yes,
just way down the road?
Basically, I'll say whatever's on that photo. There will be 2 products that are coming out this year. One very soon. The next one we hope, if everything goes well, beginning of the summer. And then we would like to come out with the second flavor of Initium this year.
So then kind of come back.
The flavor's already been like we've already decided on the flavor.
Yeah.
We're just waiting to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And we just wanted everybody to get, accustomed to these other 2 products and to say, hey, we have 3 on the board first and then come out with the second flavor. The good thing about it is people really love the flavor that we have. I hate taking a product that I like, but I like cringe when I have to like taste the flavor. So that was another big thing. So I know Tropic Wind will hold its own for a little while, but still you gotta keep the people what they want. So flavor 2 hopefully this year will be out. It could possibly be fall, but she will hit the streets.
Nice, man. Yeah, I definitely feel the if you lack sort of like variety with variants of your product, whether it's one flavor of something. We've been in situations where we've had that, and it's like damn, it can you can feel like things are running dry because people are like, oh, when's the new flavor? You got any new flavors coming out? It's like, all right, I've been using this flavor for 6 months straight now, But it's definitely a good feeling when you're making movement like that to be able to be like, all right, well, here soon we have already a second flavor nailed down,
And I think it's a smart plan of action. That's something I think Jim Flow's trying to work towards, is just building the product line, because one flavor is frustrating at times. You feel like, like you said, like the customers might be getting a little bored with the flavor. And it's definitely great if they can bounce back and forth, like with Overcome, with orange and then lemonade. But it is great to build
delicious,
like a,
by the way.
Yeah, it is great. I know, Dave. It blows my mind still. It's just knock out.
First time I tasted it, like, son of a bitch.
Yeah, shit. White flag.
Yeah.
But it's great to build out the product line though for a variety. But then people really can buy. You can be a one-stop shop for everybody. As people can grab the pre, the amino, eventually maybe the protein, things like that, all while they're there. They don't have to fish out to other brands, so it can save them a little bit of time, money, and they can actually kind of really buy into the brand overall and be like, yeah, I buy from Jim Flow, I buy from Covington, or I buy from whatever.
Yeah, it helps. And like you were sort of mentioning, like if you can make it a easy grab and go thing, if they're coming for pre-workout, they can go and get other products, or even
creatine, whatever.
Something of some sorts, having that spread out inventory. Not spreading yourself too thin is one big thing you can watch out for too. Definitely helps. Keeps the people engaged and wanting to come back and try something new.
And for me, I get a lot of advice from Chris. I mean, he's been doing this for over 8 years.
Yeah.
And one of the things he said, which I kind of already knew, but he kind of just like put the nail in, like, if you're going to actually put your heart and soul into this, I'll let you know right now, this is a slow bleed. He was like, it's going to be a long time before you see, like, anything for you personally. And I was like, oh, I wasn't even thinking about that. Like, everything that we get goes back into the company to get better and better. And like with any business, people look at the business bank account and they see it like, oh, we have money. It's like, oh, no, you don't. You don't. Like, this money is going to get reinvested. You still might throw some in there.
Yeah.
And that's where I see so many people fail. They just like take this out, and I was like, oh, I can do without this $500 real quick.
Take that out.
No.
Or they don't even keep personal money, like emergency money, if your business needs it. Like if there's a cut or a hole in the ship, you can plug it real quick with the extra couple $100 just to make sure it's going to keep moving forward. Not that it needs that every month, or it shouldn't. Hopefully you figure out what's going on, plug it, and it's sealed for good. But a lot of people are blowing their personal money. Yeah. A lot of people are blowing, buying shit that they don't need, or, people that want to create their own brand of any sorts, whether it's supplements or not, buying shit that they personally don't need. And then when it comes time, like, oh, I need to reorder shirts, or I need to reorder product or whatever they don't have like any funds because they've been taking money from the business first off, and then blowing their own personal money to where they're like, oh shit, I guess I got to shut the site down or whatever the case may be. And it can happen quicker than you think. It can landslide. And speaking of the fact of like money in the bank account, I mean, looking at that it's almost like, oh, that's already accounted for. Like that's going to the next product. Like we have actually negative money if you look at it, or we still need to make some sales type deal to keep, things moving. So it can be a difficult balance at some points, but it's a wild ride.
Do you have a specific? Did you have something good to say?
Oh no. I'm just talking to hear my own voice at this point.
Is there any specific screw up, drawback, interesting story that you look back on and you're like, kind of fucked up there, but it's a lesson learned, or anything like that, or almost mistake? Doesn't have to be a full on.
Let me get a good one, because screw ups is
I'm sure there's
what
plenty.
I do best.
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
is what I do best. Well, I think one thing I've learned is how I can write the book on patience now, because like between things coming out and all that, like I think some screw ups I've done before is, like, I'll announce something too early. Like I do believe that I dropped the ball a little bit on announcing Initium as early as I did, because even though they said there were going to be no more like hiccups, there was one more that pushed us back another month, and it was getting to the point where people were like, they were getting dry. Like,
the hype hit, the peak hit, and then it's like already started fading away.
And then it was like 3 weeks before we were going to get it, and like it was to the point that they were going to deliver it to us, and I was like, hell no, what day is it ready? I'm coming to pick it up myself. Like
we did that for one order too.
I needed to get it.
Yeah.
And so that's one mistake I think I did. Another one I think I did was time management wise. Like at first I was doing, my job, demos and then like everything to social media and whatnot. And there was like a fall off to where for about a good month and a half there weren't really any demos. And I'm starting to get back into them now, trying to do 1 or 2 a week. That's another thing. It's like, you are a small local owned business.
Yeah.
You need to get your face out there. And I was like falling off with that. And I did notice that there was a correlating decrease in sales when the demos weren't happening.
For sure.
Because the sales were going on. People were either trying it. We have a good success rate on people that try a sample, that they get it. That can't happen if I'm not giving out samples.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things like, get your face back out there. Like you can't hold, you don't have legs to stand on yet. So keep going out there. So.
I agree with that. We did a ton of demos when we started off. And fortunately, but unfortunately, that I've gotten so not trapped. Trapped isn't the word. Stuck in here until like 5 or 6 in the afternoon.
I got him.
No, not even him, but like, with training clients and whatnot to just, for my own income, that like, demos have definitely fallen off for me. So fortunately I have a team that's close that I'm able to sort of get them to go out and handle a demo every now and then. So that actually, helps draw up some
And
attention.
that's one thing I want to touch on is, so do you work at like a full-time job or a separate job, and then you do Covington as well?
So at first, when I first started Covenant, I used to work in security sales.
Okay.
And then I left them because I used to actually be a bouncer for a few bars a night just for, extra money. But now I work full-time as a bartender there, so I can work at night and focus on Covenant during the day. In the grand scheme of things, I would hope to leave there very soon, actually, because, man, I mean, we train every single day almost. Our sleep schedule is our most important thing. And I thought, it was kind of one of those things where people say bartending and trying to live this lifestyle do not go hand in hand. Man, it's tough. The like getting home at 5 and trying to force myself to wake up at 8 or 9 and go to the gym. Even if I get there, my body's like, you're not going to have this workout. So I'm hoping by March to be done with them. I've gotten used to it now, so now I couldn't handle a full-time job again during the day and balance Covenant. Like I've learned how to do it.
Yeah.
So for now, we are working the nightlife, but we're about to get out.
Yeah,
there.
but what I'm getting at is, all three of us, we have our passion, whatever company it is that we're putting our free time into. But then you also have to make your income. And I think a lot of times people just expect things, like you say, they don't realize things are a slow bleed. And they think, oh, well, everyone's going to love this product, or everyone's going to come to my gym, or this or that. And they just kind of expect everyone to just buy in, or things to just be an overnight success. And they don't realize you're not going to make it. You're not going to write yourself a paycheck for a long time. And it's not, even if you did at some point, like it's going to be a long time, and you need to be able to work those jobs, and it's going to suck, and it's going to suck up all your free time. You're not going to be able to get on with the buddies on Xbox anymore. You're not going to be able to go out. You're going to have to get up extra early to do a workout early so you can do a demo in the evening. There's these sacrifices that I feel like people, they think the risk ends with buying the LLC online or coming out with the first product, whatever it is.
That's the easy shit.
That's the easy shit. Coming out with the idea, having some fun, being excited about it, posting about it, that's the fun, that's the easy part.
Yeah.
It's like the risk is all the sacrifice that people don't see, that you don't post about, that, really makes the difference and actually gets you from A to B to C and D and down the road.
Yeah.
I love doing the Instagram posts because that's the only time I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love demos. I actually do love demos.
Yeah.
At
Interact
first,
with
demos
people
used to make me nervous. But now I love it because people come and be like, what is this?
And then you're
try
giving away
things
something
like
for,
that.
samples for free and whatever. So, like, people, they don't feel, like, pressured. You're just like, oh, just try it. You don't got to buy anything. Unless they want to, obviously. But, that
we just need your name and credit card.
Yeah, it's your social. But it's fun because it's, most of the time, it's not pressured. It's just like, hey, what's up? What are you training? Hey, try this out, blah, blah, blah. So it's definitely fun getting out there, seeing faces, especially faces that have bought from you a bunch of times before, and they're like, oh, fuck, you're out here. Blah,
Exactly.
blah, blah.
Especially like events, like when Miles was there for you guys for that event at Gold's.
The powerlifting event.
Yeah.
That, I wouldn't have been there if I wasn't doing a demo table. So you see things like that. And the other weekend, they had like a grand opening for like the boxing area that they have upstairs.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
I wasn't able to come to that one because I was out of town. But it's like something like that I wouldn't have been even invited to. And you see like some of these like athletes that you probably have seen in the gym, but never spoken to them.
Yep.
So this is a new outlet for me to meet some like incredible people.
Yeah,
like some of my athletes, man, they are some incredible people.
Yeah, dude. I was gonna say we love Sam.
Yeah,
and I'm glad you got the Sam.
Sam is ridiculous. Like sometimes I like look at Sam because I've known Sam for like maybe a year and a half now. And I've never seen him angry. You know, he reminds me of.
You're right about that.
He is a gentle giant.
Like, you know, he reminds me of Griffin. So I'll say the same thing I say to Griffin. I say to him, I'm like, do you get mad? Is that a switch?
Yeah.
Do we have the ability to get you there? Like,
almost
I've just never
seen. Slap him real quick. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah,
and even if you slap him, he'll be like, "Oh, that's the good one, buddy."
I'm like, oh, you got me. Yeah.
Like, do you rage just once?
Yeah.
He is a ox.
Yes, he is quite the individual. And man, speaking of him, like when we were getting started, because I used to train all the time at Arboretum, where he worked at, and it was like him and like Bill that used to be a GM there. And he would just always ask me for like help if I needed anything, and I'm like, no, I'm good, or like, you know, I might need help like carrying this, and never wanted like anything in return ever. Yeah. And even when we got ready to announce, I was just like, Sam, I'm so hyped, man. Like we get to announce Covington tomorrow on Instagram. Palms are sweaty, like you know, straight Eminem style. And he's like, dude, is there anything like I can do? Like, just let me know. And I was just like, honestly, the only thing you can do for me is just like be part of the team. And it's like he's like staring like, what? I was like, man, you've been like helping me for like past 4 months. I haven't asked for a single thing in return. When I try to give you something, you turn it down. Like, it's like that's the least I can do. Yeah. And still now he'll like text me like, anything I can do today. He's like, you know, sorry I'm not that available today. I'm like, I didn't even need anything.
Yeah, I'm like, what's up?
Yeah, I'm not overly close with him, but I've had plenty of interactions, obviously, with him here to know that he seems like a selfless guy, and so it's good.
Solid dude.
Good to hear that. And he's a freaking strong as an ox. He just comes in here, and I feel like especially when we're doing the Party of the Gems every month, he just shows up and he's like, "Fuck it, we're going for a PR." You know, it's like every other week, it's like, "Oh, we're gonna pull 700 again," you know, whatever it is.
Like when he broke that record, like the only one that was surprised he broke the record was him, and I'm like. You do understand, like you're one of the Avengers, right? Like, you do understand this is easy. And he was like, man, I just can't believe I did it. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna hang up the phone because I'm this is what it looks like to be mad. Like what the heck?
That dude's wild. Yeah. Well, as far as getting out in the community and whatnot, are y'all planning on doing anything like any events with anything outside of gyms, or like looking into other businesses to maybe partner with, or?
Yes. So first of all, every time, because this ties directly into it, every time you buy a tub of Initium, a portion of that goes to Boys and Girls Club, and that's all year round. Yeah. We're actually getting ready to deliver the check in the beginning of next month.
That's awesome, man.
And that's going to be for all supplements going forward. So that's another reason why we're just so adamant on getting new products out, because somebody buys one product, a portion of that goes, but if you buy 3 products, a portion of all 3 of them goes to Boys and Girls Club. And that was one of those like non-negotiables between me and TJ. It's like no matter what. That's why we also are so like mindful about what we have in the bank account, because at the end of the day,
cutting out of your margin.
We have this Boys and Girls Club's check, and that's always going to be there. Yeah. So whether that's coming out of our pocket or coming out of our company, it's going to happen. Yeah. So, and I definitely want to start like doing things outside of gyms, and first I want to start with like local owned like restaurants, but not just restaurants, like meal prep services. Yeah. In Richmond, there's been a lot of local owned meal prep services that have been coming up. Yep. And my wish is to do something where we can have like 1 month, like we'll use, for example, like October is breast cancer awareness. Yeah. And I would like to collab with like a meal prep service, for instance, be like, hey, like in the month of October, if you buy from this local owned meal prep service, 5% of the total goes to breast cancer research, as well as if you buy anything from Covington Athletics this month, 5% goes to breast cancer research. Things in that way, more eyes are on them, for sure, as well as us. And we definitely want to take to the community in a big way. Yeah. And that was one of the things I was just thinking of, because along with like health, a lot of restaurants, a lot of mom and pops have been going up there, and as well as like Northern Virginia as well, because I'd say about 90% of my friends are up there. I lived up there for a while, and there's a lot of businesses up there that I would like to break into. So
yeah, dude,
definitely. And as far as that is concerned, if there's any way like we can work together with a nonprofit or an organization, let me know, man. We're always trying to do that.
Usually when we've done events here at the gym.
Yeah, every part in the gym, every event.
We've tried to donate or give back to some way in the community, whether it's, say, a local charity or just something bigger than that. But most of the time we try and, find
and I guess, we're getting
home.
around that time. We haven't done a party in the gym in a while.
Yeah, and somebody was just fucking talking. Yeah. I forgot who it was, and I was like, damn, man, I almost forgot. It's been, like we said we were going to do them quarterly, and the next thing you know, you just get busy, and it's like,
well,
damn,
the kind of
be March.
Yeah.
The kind of quarter one was like our 1 year.
Yeah,
and then, but we should have done one, I guess, around like this month.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, it's tough with events because, you don't want to, like, the reason we stopped doing them monthly was because we felt like some people were kind of seeing them as a little bit like repetitive, and sometimes repetitive is fine because some people look forward to them every month, and that was the whole original like idea.
Yeah.
But it almost seems not to be like a Debbie Downer, but the more we try to do too much with it or expand it, it's almost like the less feedback or interest or engagement we got.
Yeah.
So, for example, like the last one we did over the summer, we tried to involve like a ticket system where, you could show up for free, but if you bought an RSVP ticket, it was like $20, I believe. For $20, you get a shirt, like a free meal at Clean Eats. You'd get a sample pack from Gym Flow. You'd get like a $10 voucher to Hangry Joe's across the way.
Yep.
And so it's like all these things for 20 or $30, whatever it was. Easily get your money back just in like the shirts and meals, whatever. And, we sold a decent number of tickets, whatever, but at the same time, I felt like the overall, like there was too much confusion with buying the ticket. Do I have to have a ticket to show up? And then also, I don't know, trying to plan things too on a weekend. Sometimes people got plans, whatever. Mm-hmm. It can just get tricky, know? Yeah. And so sometimes it can be like a little discouraging on our end. Personally, it shouldn't and won't stop us from like doing more events. But side note of a little bit of things we ran into.
Stuff like that's always fun.
But we definitely want to do that again and definitely partner with the charity.
Yeah.
If there's one with charity, our last athlete, Nelly, she actually has her own nonprofit called One Day RVA. She actually did a lot.
What's that about?
So it just depends on the times. Her organization just does a lot for less fortunate. Like for Christmas, excuse me. For Christmas, they did like a toy drive at multiple locations throughout the city.
Yeah.
Nice.
And they also did dinners for Thanksgiving and Christmas. They donated a lot of canned food, and they spent like the whole night like cooking like hot meals and things like that. So it just depends on what the need is at that time, and then she just reaches out to people that have the ability to help, and it's a good way to have a bunch of local businesses come together and help. Like I think for Christmas it was like 6 local businesses that came together and helped the less fortunate.
That's dope to hear because, with all the shit and like everybody's problems and shit like that's cool to hear people are like that out there. There's people out there like that.
Real people doing real things that matter. Yeah.
And that aren't, I mean, I don't know, I don't have the pleasure of knowing her, but like, that probably aren't worried about the return on it or aren't worried about the social clout of
what are they going to get from
it. That's what a lot of days now is the social clout, like the hype, the blah, blah, blah. It's just, what's like, how are you, first off, following what's you're passionate about, and then what's the impact of it,
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a lot of look at me,
Which there's always, it's not one way is right, but, it's good to hear those things out there like that. I had a question, though, circling back to product, because I would like to know, like, because we have our direction, I guess, with, over the years we've evolved. The past 6-7 years we've been doing this, and I wouldn't say probably the last 3 years we've been taking it more seriously than like the first couple that were definitely a side hobby, like, oh, it's just fun, making pre-workout for our friends and shit like that. But focusing on whether you're going to target direct to consumer only, or are you going to try and branch and do online and wholesale, like retail, finding more retail partners? Are you all going to try and attempt to like connect with retail?
So we definitely would like to. Right now, we're in 16 stores in Virginia right now. We broke into North Carolina a couple months ago, and same thing with the demos, transition and new work and things like that. I kind of like took a backseat on it a little bit, but as of recently, we've been getting higher on that again. There's been a lot of stores that have been reaching out to us, asking us for samples, or saying they would like to because they're phasing out one product that's not selling very well, and they'd like to bring us in afterwards. This spring you'll be noticing we'll be in a lot more stores, as well as we've been talking things like Amazon and things like that. So we would like to do both
for sure.
The only thing, obviously you won't see us in like a GNC and vitamin shop or something like that because you know how those work.
They can, yeah.
But yeah, we'd like to definitely hit both aspects.
Are you and your partner calling these retail stores, or are they mostly reaching out to y'all?
I'd say it's about 70 us calling, and then 30 they'll reach out to us.
For sure.
A lot will be through Instagram DMs, which will give them the email, and then we'll have a more professional conversation. But it is the fact that I do like that people are starting to see us, which is why we post so much. We actually want to start posting more. Yeah. But at first, no one was emailing us, and now look, at least once a week I'll have like a few emails from somebody that said they found us through Instagram or something like that. So it is a good feeling to know that we are starting to be found by people.
Hell yeah, no, that's awesome, man. Yeah, it's slow, steady, chipping away.
Exactly, slow bleed. We haven't even hit 1 year. As far as like selling product, we haven't hit 1 year, and I already feel like the momentum is good as long as we stick to it.
Yeah,
we became an actual business on December 20th of 2020, so technically we're over a year as a business.
Right, but I guess selling product,
the real birthday is July,
making the income. Yeah.
So I thought we'd wrap up this week. We haven't touched these.
It's been a minute.
God, I don't think it's been a year, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
But answer the internet questions. It's a barstool game, card game. Anyway, they're basically kind of simple questions. We just give our response or answer, and they're pretty interesting.
Let me give people a heads up because it's been a minute. We might have
some
people.
Yeah.
These are questions as
usually.
Fucked up as you are. That's what's stated on the card. So don't flip it over just yet. We want to be surprised when you go to read it, but they can be quite raunchy and quite shocking. So if you if you're get a little butthurt or whatever, turn it off. So it might hurt your ears. Or
spoiler alert, click out, click out.
Yeah, but I'll kick it off. We can get rolling. So this one's poll the internet. Would you rather be filthy rich in 1900 or poor now?
Hold on. Filthy rich in the 1900? And I guess 1900. Or poor now? Filthy rich in 1900, dude.
I'd probably be filthy rich in 1900. Although, if there was like a meet in the middle.
Well, yeah.
If I could, well, and here's what I mean. If I could be like 1950s, 1960s, what do you call it, middle class or like slightly above middle class.
Because there's at least technology at that point.
Yeah, there's more technology. No. I don't got to ride a horse, or any of that shit. And there's just something about those old time, because Maddie and I just started this new show on Apple TV. It's got James Franco, but he's not doing a comedic role.
Okay.
It's like for the Stephen King book, basically the premise is they're going back to like 1960s, got to go for a few years, try and stop the assassination of JFK. I'll save you the plot, but basically they do a good job of transforming the scene, everything like that. And I've always thought, of course, the old times have their own kind of prejudices and crazy issues and wars and all that. But as far as a cultural phenomena of like those time periods, I always thought it was interesting, the 50s cars and the 60s and how they dress, and it just seems like a different time. Your neighbors, you get the milkman coming.
What's that fucking movie with Leonardo DiCaprio?
I thought you were talking about Back to the Future for a
little bit. But it's like that The Great Gatsby. Like that time.
Yeah,
like
so that's
glamorous,
closer.
very just like blown out of proportion.
That's close to the 1900s,
because when you said 1900s, I was like, if you're going to be filthy rich, you're going to actually be filthy rich.
Bows and arrows
you ain't taking
type
no
shit.
showers. Like you'll be actually dirty.
Yeah.
You might get fucking like your head chopped off at 28.
Never know.
Yeah.
You could die any day.
Yeah. So,
also, you could...
But that's
poor now sucks. Poor anytime kind of sucks.
That's it, and especially if the question is like you can't get out of poor, like that's you're living and dying poor.
Because I mean, you can get out of poor like these days.
Yeah.
It sucks, but you can get out of poor.
If you were poor in 1900, you're screwed.
You're poor.
Yeah.
You probably got disease, but
Yeah.
It's poor. It's poor to the end, Pop.
Well, I'll knock mine, and we'll save you for last.
All right.
One of those I really like.
Answer the internet. Would you rather never have any buffalo sauce food again, or only be able to masturbate to pregnant porn? So let me reread that.
Yeah. One more time.
Because once I read ahead and I saw that, I couldn't read.
You're like, porn?
Would you rather never have any buffalo sauce food again, so food with buffalo sauce on it, or only be able to masturbate to pregnant porn?
I'm giving up the buffalo sauce.
Dude, I'm
yeah,
giving up
look, man.
dude,
There's so many other flavors of wings I can eat. I'm a lemon pepper fanatic,
Yeah,
man.
I
I
can
don't need the buffalo.
I'll go dry before fucking
Yeah.
sauce.
Naked wings, man.
Yeah.
Naked wings.
And we don't got to get into
Dude.
porn preferences, but the weirdest
Bring it
thing
out.
that is like
You said
whenever
we
you
don't
know
have to,
you
but-
pull up whatever, you just I don't know. You're finding a video you're gonna watch, but sometimes you'll see like suggested
It's
shit
got
are on the
everything,
home screen. Yeah, and you're like, who is watching?
What is
this?
this?
Stuff? Yeah,
And on top of that, you're hoping that the dude is the baby daddy, and it's not just
Yeah.
our nude.
Right.
Like how?
yeah.
Because you bet in the industry, in the porn industry, I
Mhm.
bet you there's people paying that's like,
Oh,
hey,
for
this
sure.
stranger's gonna smash you, and he ain't the baby daddy.
It's like
We're
one
gonna
of those
film it.
things, like when you see those memes, it's like the dad's on his like deathbed and he tells his son, he's like, son, I want you to go home, delete my internet browser before your mother sees it. But delete it. He's like, Dad, I already did. He's like,
Yeah.
I saw it. And he's like, huh?
But I watched
Like,
it too.
Start the search with P, and
Delete-
you'll,
Yeah.
it'll
delete the
pop
browser
up.
I feel
before
like-
your mother sees it.
Talking about that though, I feel like the 360p, 480 like p like quality weird homemade camcorder videos that are on there.
Uh-huh.
I bet half of those, if not more, are just they go up to just poor people, or homeless people, and they're like, "Hey, I'll pay you $50. You get in this video and do it, or something like that." I bet it's like weird shit.
Yeah.
I'd be like, 50. I'm homeless, but I
Yeah.
got standards,
Yeah,
son.
yeah,
like,
man,
like
yeah.
$50.
call it 55.
What do you think about this pregnant chick? You like her?
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Call it 55.
I like
we'll
that
do it.
wallet more. Like, that's what
And
Yeah.
on top of that, another question is, what are you doing? As a couple?
Uh-huh.
What are y'all doing filming? Like, it'd be different, I guess, or a better standard if she wasn't pregnant.
I always like it.
But it's like your kid's gonna grow up seeing your mom pregnant with you up in there and your dad
Yeah.
smashing
Well,
on video.
it's funny.
It's like, how do I play this one
I'm-
off? You don't.
So technically,
Yeah.
you were in
You
the
were in
video
it, yeah.
18 years ago.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
what year was this? Like, you have like two sisters or something. Like,
Yeah.
what year was this?
It's funny. I've seen like a
You made the
meme.
video.
I've seen a meme, not related to like the porn, but just having sex when you're pregnant. The baby's just fucking sloshing,
Right.
just getting rammed in there too.
It's like one of those things. Like, one cringe thought always has, like, if I was a rapper. And like for instance, you see the shit that like Future raps about and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
what if your grandparents get a hold of one of your albums?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, whoa. It's like,
You know what I always thought was one of the most like questionable lines that I was thinking about the other day was in and you don't even know it with Rick Ross when he's like oh shit. He says he's like rapping, he's like took her home fuck. Let me
Google
pull
it.
the line.
Google it.
Oh,
Yeah,
fuck.
let me,
I can
I don't
imagine
want to
this
butcher
shit.
it. I don't want to
And
butcher
next thing
it.
you know, you butcher it, and they're like, "Oh, Brock said that."
Yeah,
Brock's fucked
that's
up.
what I'm saying. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. That's why I want to pull
Bro,
it up.
becomes a hashtag
Yeah.
for weed.
Yeah, dude.
Trending.
I'm so cancelable because I'm white
I can be canceled at
white
any moment.
blue-eyed kid from the suburbs. It's too easy.
I can be canceled at any moment.
Hold on. There's Rick Ross. Blah blah. Oh yeah. Put Molly all in her champagne. She ain't even know it. I took her home and I enjoyed that. She ain't even know it.
See, it's like
That's a pretty questionable line.
if someone just takes the time to analyze that verse, it's like, whoa. It's
all right,
like,
but like
Yeah.
you're still bumping your head. And it's like,
Yeah.
all right,
Yeah.
no, but I mean,
you're like, did he say? Mm-mm,
No, no.
mm-mm,
No.
No, he didn't.
yeah,
It's just a
God,
song.
dude.
You know? All right. Last question
Yeah.
here.
All right. Would you rather get stuck at a red light every time for the rest of your life or become a loaf of bread for 24 hours once a year? You know what, Austin? I'm going to let you go ahead first. I'm gonna let you.
Dude, I hate a red light.
This is an easy answer.
Well,
for
loaf
me.
of
Oh, yeah,
bread.
I know.
Loaf of bread.
a loaf of bread.
I would just hide in the closet once a year, and y'all would never see me.
I'm gonna just loaf
I'm gonna
for
just
24
loaf.
Yeah.
hours.
Just loafing.
Because
I'ma
I
just
hate a
loaf.
fucking red light,
Yeah.
or especially getting stacked
Dude,
up.
I
on
was
them.
at
like
one
Broad
this-
Street's the worst.
I
Oh,
was
Bro-
at this
Broad
one
Street's
this
a nightmare.
morning. By the Home Depot, before you get to like the Arby's, you know what I mean? Like
Yep.
just go down that way.
one.
That light sucks so much cock.
Oh, you never
because
make it through.
It's not
you-
even that. It's coming from the other way, closer to where we live.
Yeah,
Okay. I go to try and take a left. So I get in the left lane. We take it all the time.
yeah.
But twice this has happened. It happened again this morning where I'm in the left lane, and it's like, okay, green. I'm like, okay, I'll wait. Minute later, it gives the green turn for like those. I'm like, okay. 2-3 minutes later, I'm like, hold on. It's gone through multiple cycles now. It's not letting me go, and I'm not like past a
Yeah.
sensor or something like that. And so I just said, fuck it, dude. It's like 5 a.m. There's no cars
Oh,
anywhere.
I'd do that.
I
all
just
the time.
turn. You know.
Dude, Scott's Edition
but-
is the worst, and that's
Yeah.
where I live. It's
It
like
is.
some lights that get stuck, like you said, like 5 a.m.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
I'm coming home from work. Like, I'll be at a light for like 5 minutes, And one time I was like on my phone and like I realized like 10 minutes had gone by and it never changed. And I was like, what is going on?
Dude. I'm
and
running.
Some places it's like the Wild Wild West in Scott's Edition. You're like, yo, is that like even for me?
Yeah.
And then you got buses everywhere because there's bus lanes. I'm like, honestly,
I love not living in the city anymore because of that. There's so many different lanes and different lights, and then you got to worry about people crossing the street, and it's hectic. People on bikes.
Especially
is my anxiety.
Man, that's a busy joint,
live,
especially on a weekend.
Beside, like the Crunch, so people will still be like in their gym mode, headphones on.
You live beside the Crunch? We used to live right above the Crunch.
I live right behind like Wooden Iron, so like people have their headphones in, still jamming.
Yeah,
from the gym, not paying attention. Realize you're not supposed to walk right now. But if I hit your ass, it's my fault.
Of course,
of course. I'm like, yo, come on, Jimmy. Like, no, you don't walk across the street.
Yeah, we used to live on First and Grace, but then we moved to Forest Hill, so it's like outside of Richmond, but it's close enough to where I'm like, man, I still don't even want to drive through Richmond.
Yeah, it was my first time living in the city. I've always been like in Henrico or Manchester, like right outside, close enough, but right outside.
Close enough.
Did you grow up around here?
I grew up in New Kent, so it's about 40 minutes away, so close enough. So I could get my parents in less than an hour if I ever want to see them, stuff like that.
Yeah, dude.
But yeah, having a truck driving around in Scotts is not the move at all.
Damn, son.
Yeah. You'll see me like all summer. You'll just see me on a bird scooter.
Dude, I'm surprised I wouldn't have one parked outside my apartment door.
Well, there was one in the bush. There was one in the bush.
That's right. That's mine.
I walk outside. I was like, this is a wonderful day. What the hell? I like just chilling in the bush.
Parked it. Yeah, it's like, I'm gonna get that later.
They're just like, yeah, they won't find this at all.
Well, glad to have you on, man. I appreciate you coming on, telling us your story, and hopefully people enjoyed it.
If you want to check them out.
Yeah, check them out. We'll have everybody in the description below to follow us.
At A James at Covington Athletics. Is there an underscore between Covington?
Yeah, go ahead and speak.
Yeah, it's just Covenant.athletic.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I'll have all that in the description below. Check them out, and we appreciate you again for coming on.
Absolutely, man. Really enjoyed it.
If you guys listen to this and it got any value out of it, made you think, made you laugh, just made you smile. Made you smile.
Or you
share
ever
it with
thought
a friend.
about being a loaf of bread?
Yeah. That's right. Because I know we're all out here being loaves.
Just
so loafing. Check us out. We'll see y'all next week. Until next time.
Peace.
Peace.